Well, hello, Special K. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Oh, very good. Evening for you in Vietnam and morning here
Yep,
for me in Austin, Texas.
yep.
Well, it's a really wonderful topic that we're going to do this video about today, the wonder
Mm.
of water.
Yeah,
And there was a recent book that came out this year, and it reminded me of a book you and I read years ago from
yep.
kind of the founder and pioneer of this scientific research about water and
Mm,
how it impacts our environment.
hmm.
So let's get started.
Yeah, so you'll get into that, I think, in your
Yeah.
slides.
Well, I'll just set the table here for our discussion. And then I have a few slides to share and we can comment on them to just give the visual impact that we have on water that these researchers have been documenting, for decades. We're going to do a book review, The Secret Life of Water, and that's from Japanese researcher Dr. Emoto. Masaru Emoto is his name. And for people that have been involved in consciousness research or understanding how humans operate in the natural elements and how those elements might respond to us, The Secret Life of Water, has been an important tome that people have referenced. He, in his research, unexpectedly came across the properties of water. One of the things he likes to celebrate about how magical water is it's one of the few things that can exist in three states. So it can be liquid as water flows, it can be solid as ice, and it can also be a gas or vapor in steam.
Mm,
And so there
mm,
aren't too many elements that can be in three different states, but
mm,
water is one of them. And so it's kind of unique just right out of the box, that
mm,
water is different. We all need water to survive. You can go 30 days without food, but about 3 days or 4 days without water, without serious consequences and potential death.
mm.
Every living thing on the planet needs water, not just humans. So it's a very important component of life. As we talk about designing lives in a life designed, we'll look at how what we do with water and how we interact with it could be a component of our life design. Maybe
Mm.
not something everybody would think about. So, the two books that we're going to look at, The Secret Life of Water, that was published in 2011 after 10 or 15 years of research by this Japanese researcher, Dr. Masaru Emoto. And then a new book that's just out this year, 2024, by Veda Austin, and she's from New Zealand. There is a person they have in common. Um, there's a doctor who's a researcher in the area of water, and he does scientific research for the University of Washington in Washington State. And as the end of the career of Dr. Emoto, it was bridged with this researcher, Gordon, in Washington State. And now Veda Austin is showing how, just in daily life, the kinds of interactions that you can document yourself in how water responds to us. So let's go ahead and get into this. And we'll react to some slides and then we'll have commentary. So here we go. These pictures are so amazing. Okay, are you able to see this?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, so Dr. Emoto and Veda Austin will look at what their books tell us. So Dr. Emoto was comparing tap water and then what would happen if you prayed over the water. And so the first two slides to the left, normal Tokyo tap water, and it's kind of a convoluted mess under the slide on the microscope. And then if you pray over it, this is what the water looks like. So the water crystalline structure changed on the slide in the microscope when you prayed
Mhm.
over it. And that was kind of a breakthrough discovery a couple of decades ago.
Mhm.
And in the next one, it talks about just emotion. The first crystalline slide is what happens when you say, I can do it. And you say it over the water with intention. And
Mhm.
then you take that same slide of water and say, I can't do it. And look at the difference in the structures. One
Mhm.
thought is literally kind of destroying the beautiful structure of that water, where the other one reinforces beauty. I can do it. I can't do it. So when we talk about our internal conversations, how we speak to ourselves or other people, I think in our research, Brian, we discovered 60 or 70% of our bodies are made up of water.
Right. It's
And
around there. Yeah.
so what are we doing to the water in our bodies when we maintain these negative self-talk, or we drive that negative discussion towards other
Hmm.
people? It may be
Hmm.
literally impacting the water in their blood, circulating in their lungs, in their bodies. So here's the next one, and these are just some concepts, again, for people to think about how the way they operate in the world, what they think, what they believe, how they speak, how they feel. In Dr. Emoto's, he has a gallery of these pictures. To the left, the first one is hope. This is the crystalline structure of hope. And then honesty, and then love and gratitude. And
Hmm.
so, if you haven't seen this work, it seems a little impossible, but we'll be looking at Veda Austin's work, and she has done experiment after experiment. And in her book, The Living Language of Water, she shows you how to do these experiments at home. You need water and a glass petri dish and a freezer. That's all you need. And then
Hmm.
a regular modern phone will take a picture of it and show you structures. So this was the beginning of this work with water in Japan with Dr. Emoto. Now we'll look at Veda Austin's work. And she has done so many different kinds of experiments. Both of these researchers have had the water exposed to specific music and documented it, and music makes water beautiful. Dr.
Hmm.
Emoto did a lot of symphonies. Veda Austin's work includes Metallica, AC/DC. What music makes water more beautiful, whatever kind of music it is. And
Hmm.
so to the left, we show this is what rainwater looks like when it's frozen. It makes this beautiful kind of looks like reeds or a plant. And then
Hmm.
spring water, what that looks like, it's almost like a snowflake. Tap water, less beautiful. Tap
Yeah.
water is a little confused. I'm sure it has chemicals in it because the cleaning, filtering systems, and then
Hmm.
filtered water. It looks like it's grass that's been brushed, filtered water. Okay. Then this is when she talks about the language of water, how water communicates back to us. This is sort of the breakthrough of this current iteration of water research. So she put her finger over, that's a glass petri dish. The only thing in it is water sitting on a wooden counter. She holds the image over the water for 30 seconds to a minute. It's not very long. Then she puts the water in the freezer and comes back and checks on it. You could
Hmm.
see the image is her finger
Hmm.
in the water. And so this water is communicating to her. And this is kind of where she's taking this research today. Here's a picture of her friend. And she had a picture, and it was like, 2 inch by 2 inch. And she put the glass petri dish with water on top of the picture. So the glass rested on top of the picture for a minute. And then she put the petri dish in the freezer. And the water took her picture.
Yep.
Here are the last two, I think, that we're going to talk about. She's done some experiments, both Dr. Emoto and Veda Austin. They practice writing a word. So Dr. Emoto would write it on a water bottle and then see what the crystalline structure was. And that's why you see people today write affirmations on water bottles or put symbols like the Om symbol or the cross or a heart or the word love, because you're communicating to the water. Then you drink that water And that structure, is these beautiful images. She wrote the word ego, and it made a picture of a person with shoulders and a neck and a big head.
Yeah.
And then one of the most amazing ones was she put it on top of a wedding invitation. And you can see kind of the shape of the trees in the water, but it created a wedding ring. That was not done by Veda. That was just how the water formed. It's one of three times that the ice formed a bubble, and it formed it like it was a gem in a ring. So the water communicated back to her that what was written on that paper was a wedding invitation and the representation was a ring. The living language of water and understanding water's relation to us. And I'd love your
Mhm.
thoughts. This is so fascinating.
Yeah. So I think, you know, they should write affirmations on their water dispensers, or you can say a little prayer over it or put some positive energy. I've done all this kind of stuff, and I do feel a bit of a boost, a bit of a positive difference when I do that. So I recommend it. I mean, you can always argue it's the, placebo effect, but from the science that we're looking at here, it shows that there is a real effect.
Mhm.
And I think what this is showing us, so water takes the shape of whatever container it's in, right?
Yes.
So I think this is showing it also takes the shape of the consciousness that
Mhm.
it's exposed to, of
Mhm.
the energy that it's exposed to. So it's
Mhm.
not just
Mhm.
taking the shape of physical, containers. It kind of just receives everything that's put
Yes.
into it, um, including emotion, energy, intention. So yeah, and I mean, I think you were mentioning before, one interpretation of these experiments is maybe water is conscious,
Yes.
it's communicating back.
Yes.
There's probably different ways you can interpret it, but that's definitely a valid way to,
Yes.
theorize about it. But I would say, maybe everything is conscious,
Yes.
like these similar experiments have been done with plants and
Yes.
they got similar results. If you say positive things to plants, they grow better, the
Mhm.
flowers bloom more. If you
Mhm.
play classical music, they grow better. If you play like heavy metal music, they kind of shrivel up. Or if
Mhm.
you say like really negative things, they
Mhm.
wither, they don't grow as
Mhm.
much. I think we're in a conscious energy exchange and emotion exchange, with everything around us. But
Mhm.
water, I think, is particularly important because, as you said, our bodies are about 70% water.
Mhm.
And that's also around the same percentage as the earth. The
Yes.
earth is about 70% water. So we're a
Yes.
similar construct
It
to the earth.
corresponds somehow that seems
Yeah,
intelligent design.
exactly. There's all these correspondences like that in nature. So, um, yeah, and I think, just having positive self-talk,
Mhm.
because the water's listening, your
Mhm.
cells are listening, your
Mhm.
body's listening. I think that's so key. And
Mhm.
yeah, it's good to have positive self-talk, even if you're not feeling that way.
Yes.
Somehow change the channel.
Build the
You
habit.
know,
Build the habit.
it's like, yeah, it's like Neville Goddard talks about how in the Bible it says, "Let the poor man say he is rich, let the
Yes.
sick man say he is healthy." Like, put out that vibration and
Mhm.
start stepping into that, and you will shift into it over time.
Well, you mentioned that it's kind of a new perspective that this is science. We have
Yeah.
scientific researchers in Tokyo, the
Hmm.
University of Washington and Washington State, and then we have just regular people in the living language of water. Veda Austin shows you her little technique with water in a
Hmm.
petri dish, put it in the freezer, bring it out and see what it has to say to you. And that this correspondence is actually happening. And we can tell because the image ends up being frozen so we can see it in real time instead of it's in the water, but we can't see it
Hmm.
because the water's
Yeah.
clear and moving.
Yeah.
But when we think about the religious practice of praying over a meal,
Yeah.
we are probably impacting the water that's part of the food. Whatever components of water that are in the drink or in the food itself, those molecules may be corresponding to that prayer. When we pray over a person, if they're 70% water, we may
Mhm.
be impacting the water that's in
Mhm.
their blood and in their lungs and in their
For
body,
sure.
and giving a positive boost to the cellular structure that
Yep.
the water molecules are part of. And so it feels a little bit like, as we are potentially in a great awakening,
Yeah.
when Galileo said, I'm sorry, Pope, but the earth revolves around the sun. The sun does not revolve around the earth. And they're like, what? No, that's not what we think.
Yeah.
And so to think that in our environment, we have this conversation going on, of all of our thoughts and all of our feelings, and it impacts us and the people around us.
Mhm.
We think about if you're talking nice to your pet, you're communicating with the water in their body.
So yeah, I agree. And the example you gave, uh I think we were talking about it before the show. I don't know if you said it during the show, but of the kid when they would spit,
Yes,
and then they would spit into the water and they'd freeze the water and take the image. Some of them were sick and there was some mold in there, but one kid was just thinking about hippo, 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 and the
he was
mold
six
was in
years
the
old.
shape of a hippo. So even your thoughts, like the water in your body is picking up on the energy of your thoughts. So
Yes,
how you're thinking throughout the day,
yes,
that's creating your internal chemistry. It's creating the crystalline structure of the water in you, which you would see if you froze it.
yes,
Um, you won't see it in the liquid state, but the energy is still in there, you know?
yes,
And yeah, I mean, I think it's important. There's new science, there's new studies going on also talking about how like structured water is better for you. Like, for example, water that comes directly from a fruit is in a way it's more hydrating and better for you than just water from like a spring or something because the energies of the fruit are structuring the crystals, it like
yes,
structuring the actual
yes,
energy and shapes in the water that you would see if you froze it.
yes,
There's kind of an energy in the water of growth and life because
right,
it's coming out of a blossoming fruit, right?
right.
So,
When you think about what you could drink, to drink
mhm,
water, especially if you bless it before you drink it versus a soda, the
mhm.
different impact it would have on your health, on your emotion,
Yeah,
in
and
just to be more conscious that you may be in communication with elements around you and you have no idea that's going on.
yeah, exactly. And to some extent, I think it's a matter of self-care and self-respect. Like,
Hmm.
if you care about yourself enough, you will put good energy into your water, put good energy into your food. It's that
Into
can
the
be like
people
a
around
spiritual
you
practice. Yeah, into
and into
yourself, into the people
yourself.
around you.
Hmm.
Yep. And I do think we're moving into a time now where we're not going to pretend anymore that this isn't real science.
Yes.
For most of my life, people always just went like, ah, that's crazy stuff. That's not real science.
Hmm.
Even if someone literally does
Hmm.
thousands of experiments,
Hmm.
like Dr. Masaru Emoto did, like Veda
Veda
Austin
Austin.
did,
Hmm.
and they repeat these experiments over and over, hundreds, even
Hmm.
thousands of times.
Hmm.
That's what science is.
Yes.
It's repeatable experiments, but people don't want to go there. They
Hmm.
want to like sweep it under the rug, pretend, oh, that's woo woo, that's crazy.
Hmm.
Actually, no, they're repeated experiments. Therefore, it's science.
Hmm.
Therefore, it's true. Like, but
Hmm.
I do think we're getting to a time where people are gonna just start admitting that, like, yeah,
Yes.
this is actual science.
Yes.
So,
Well, we had done a video in our library at alifedesign.org about life hacks. And in
mhm,
that, you talked about how we're in a DIY world.
yeah,
We do everything ourselves. We also all
mhm,
carry cell phones with very high-tech cameras, more
mhm,
technology than was on Apollo 13 or something. It's
mhm,
crazy. And what Veda Austin is showing you is find out for yourself. You know,
Mhm.
in the living language of water, you can buy her book online. VedaAustin.com, I think is the
Mhm.
website. We'll put it in the show notes, and get a petri dish and put water in it and think thoughts. Put it on top of your wedding
Yep.
invitation. Put it on
Yep.
top of a coin, freeze it, and then there's an image of the coin in the frozen water. When
Yep.
you do it yourself, you understand you're not having to trust an expert. You are replicating this in your life, and this knowledge is now yours. So we encourage at A Life Design to consider, how are you operating in the world? How could you find these hacks or explore this new information to live your full purpose, to live a happy, fulfilling life, to have loving,
Mhm.
harmonious relationships with those around you? These are simple ways to kind of open your mind to
Yes.
what's really happening in the world. Find out for yourself.
I totally agree. And there's also a guy I've been seeing who he'll put crystals in water,
Mm-hmm,
and different crystals are supposed to have different meanings, different energies.
mm-hmm.
So if you put a crystal in water and just let it sit in there for 2, 3 hours, drink that water, it's gonna take the energy of that crystal. So
Well,
like,
just
amethyst
as
is
we've
good
seen,
for
it took the
intuition,
energy of a
or
wedding invitation.
yeah, like
So,
lapis lazuli is good for speaking your truth, being authentic. Like
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
rose quartz is good for self-love, so like, I mean, whatever
mm-hmm,
energy you're trying to
mm-hmm,
embody and take in, you could just
mm-hmm.
put a crystal in a bottle of water for 2, 3 hours.
It seems
But basically
fanciful.
anything,
Mm-hmm,
a life design is all about anything you can do to make your life better,
mm-hmm.
especially simple, easy ways. This is something very simple you can do
Yes.
that can give you a positive effect. Anything you can do to purify your body, your mind, your heart, your spirit, your everything, your food, your water, your
Mm-hmm,
air. I
mm-hmm.
mean, that's all going to just improve your overall system and your overall quality of life.
When you think, I don't want to have toxic people around me, I don't want
Hmm.
to be in an environment where people are yelling at me all the time. Well,
Hmm.
for heaven's sakes, measure the water and how it's reacting. It's not that you're not tough enough to take it. It's actually bad for you to be around
Yes.
toxic people, to have people send energy or hate that's negative to you. And you
Hmm.
can do these experiments yourself. I recommend it. And we'll
Yes.
have this full video in the library in alifedesign.org.
Yes.
Come and check us out. 30 days for
Yes.
free. We'd love to be sharing this information with you. Well, this was a
All
great
right.
video and very excited about Veda Austin's work. Go get those books from The Secret Life of Water, Dr.
Mm.
Emoto, and The Living Language of Water from Veda Austin, and try it for yourself.
Yep. And check out alifedesign.org. We also have coaches, a
Mhm.
team of coaches who can help you with various different aspects of your life.
Lots of interesting videos in the library. Check out our YouTube channel, and we'll see you guys on the next one.